Welcome to the CryptoWise channel, everybody. My name is Dave, and today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin and an Elliott Wave theory. I want to show you guys why this is a strong tool and how it's been developing on Bitcoin. And yeah, it's another tool we can use to help assess trend, direction, and probabilities, and it's been very, very handy for me. So if you're new to the channel, we talk about macro technical analysis, facts, and charts, staying cool, calm, and focused. Let's dive into it. If you were to see my previous video, you would have been educated on the fact that this big green weekly candle is a strong signal that the likelihood of the bottom being in is extremely high and that we are likely to see continuation. I pretty much believe that it's a given at this point. And yeah, and I wanted to offer another tool here to help assess and why I believe that we're going to see a pullback before we go up. So let's dive into it. Elliott Wave theory. This is something that uses market psychology, right? The psychology of traders and investors to actually assess larger trends, smaller trends, and overall trends, right? Based on how the waves look. And I find it really fascinating, and it's been really useful for me. And I'll show you a couple examples of where it played out on an uptrend and a downtrend. You can use this either direction. So essentially how it works is that you have these impulse waves to the upside. It's usually strong with volume, and then these corrective moves down that look slow and choppy, and then strong move up, third wave always being the strongest move, and the strongest and longest move, and then choppy, ugly fourth wave correction, one more impulse to the upside in wave 5, and usually that is a shorter than wave 3, and sometimes very short. And it usually follows by an ABC correction. Now there's a lot going on with Elliott Wave theory, so I'm not going to get into all the other corrections types and all that stuff. I haven't really learned them, so but these ones here, this one here is the most common, and I've seen it play out a lot of times in Bitcoin on a lot of different time frames. So it's very useful, especially on the larger time frame, to assess trend direction and help you buy with confidence and yeah, and make some easy decisions. So so let's see what that looks like. All right. Currently right now, what the current idea is with this Elliott wave here is that we're still in well, I think we're in a fourth wave now. So what we typically see, right? Move up, correction down, strong impulse in wave 3. We should be seeing potentially a longer consolidation here before a fifth wave impulse, likely getting rejected at this prior macro high at around 83, following an ABC correction down before a move up, which would look like an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which would look like this, essentially, right? And then we would have another confluence factor that we have another reversal pattern on top of this already falling wedge pattern, okay? So again, the rule is 5 wave up is trend direction, meaning the trend is up, but before it continues up, usually a correction follows before it does. So the 5 wave move up will tell us, right, that will add to the confluence that we are bullish. We have a bullish trend. So yeah, that's one thing that's important to consider. And yeah, well, let's look at the prior cycle too as well. So the prior cycle, we had something very similar play out, right? This is the bear market low of 2022, December 2022. Moving into the new year, we actually had an Elliott wave pattern set up very nicely here. So here's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get your ABC down. I think it might be here. I'd have to zoom in, and I don't want to change the time frames, but basically this is a 3-wave move down, right? And usually the third wave, in this case, this one is a lot longer, and that's very common, right? Just like this third wave to the upside is a lot longer, right? Third waves are usually the strongest impulse, right? So this lines up, right? Exactly like what Elliott wave talks about. 5-wave up, 3-wave down, okay? This took some time to play out, even after this played out, right? So you have the third wave where it topped to where the other ABC correction bottom took 36 days. So Bitcoin could be floating around here for some time before it decides to go up, okay? So it's important to understand how long this can play out because of the size of the structure, right? Like it spent 2 months down here, okay, November 9th to 11th of January. Wait, November, yeah, almost 2 months, 63 days, right? And then after the impulse, majority of the impulse happened, it still took another like 49 days. So the structure is somewhat symmetrical in terms, except for this side being a lot larger in terms of the inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? So it's important to consider structure, right? And this is a beautiful inverse head and shoulders pattern, right? There's the left shoulder, there's the head, and there's the right shoulder after the 5th wave, right? Then we had that very quick ABC correction, which is made up the right shoulder, and then there's your reversal pattern. And it literally marked the bottom of the entire bull market. Or sorry, it marked the bottom of the entire bear market, and then we went up from there. That was when up started, and we had continued upside for quite some time. We had continued upside after the breakout for another 939 days, which was, I think, about 2.5 years or so. It might be closer to 3 years. Yeah. Well, anyways, I don't want to do the math right now. So yeah, there you have that. So, right, and let me just back this up here to clean this up. There you go. So very beautiful setup. And what this is it's an impulse wave to the upside. Impulse wave to the upside, shallow pullback, and then what happens? Well, it goes up from there. As long as the prior high sustains, right, on wave 5, then the expectation is it will continue to go up. Of course, Bitcoin does these long, boring consolidations before continuing up. And there you have it. So how this can play out now is, well, very similar, right? So we could have that 1, 2, 3. Currently, right now, I believe we're still in wave 4. We get a wave 5, ABC down, and it could look same as the prior bear market, an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and we go up. Might not play out exactly like this. The correction down could, take longer. It could be slow like this, and then it goes up, and maybe not a sharp one down. It could take many shapes, so can't expect it to be 100% like that. But this would also be an inverse head and shoulders if it plays out. All right. So currently we're in a wave 4 is what it looks very probable, and that we could see more chop and consolidation before another impulse up, and then an ABC correction down, and that would help confirm that the trend is up and give us another area of another pattern to help confirm that we are in an uptrend. So yeah, Elliott wave tends to play out and tell us trend direction pretty much every time. So right now, every time we have a strong impulse, So when we see, let me just show you before we get into this again, we've had this play out on the downtrends too as well. If I zoom in here, right? Every time there's a 5-wave move, then we usually get an ABC correction and a stronger impulse in that direction. So here I can label pretty clearly. Here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 5-wave move down. Okay, now the trend is down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very shallow ABC correction. Didn't make it to the 0.5 fib. The 0.5 fib is a common retracement in an ABC correction, but sometimes it only goes to the top of wave 4 when it's very strong in that direction, and maybe we just get a 382 pullback, which in this case we did. So that was circle wave 1. So every time we have a 5-wave move down, that's your wave 1. We get a 3-wave move up in your wave 2, and then what happens after that? Well, remember how I said that the 3rd wave is the strongest wave? Well, if the trend is down and we had a perfect correction into resistance, then the next move is going to be a larger 3rd wave move down. And look what happened. It just crushed to the downside, right? 3rd wave being larger than 1, right? There was your 3rd wave, okay? So that's an example of how Elliott wave played out to the downside, okay? And I can even show you on this one, it was the same thing, right? Same thing, right? Let's go on 4-hour. Here's your, where is it? It's going to be here. Here's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then your 1, 2, 3 in wave 2. So this is wave 1. And then what happened? Well, remember, 1, 2, shallow, and then 3 is the largest one. We're going to the downside. Trend is down. 5-wave down. Trend is down. Correction up. Then that means the larger move of wave 3 ends up crushing to the downside again. All right. So these two trending moves to the downside played out exactly and gave us levels of where the pullback could go to. Top of wave 4, and then down it goes. Top of wave 4, and down it goes. Trending moves to the downside are usually a bit more aggressive because fear is very easy for people, you know. So there's two examples of when we had a strong impulse to the downside that Elliott wave let us know based on wave structure where the trend was going. Okay, so now we're looking at it to the upside. So it's the same thing, but now to the upside, right? And so we can see that it shows up in Bitcoin's chart. It's pretty common, right? Aside from these long, boring moves, when Bitcoin trends, there is an obvious pattern that tells us the trend. So my current expectation is that we're going to see, going to see this play out. It could take some time here. I mean, this took, on the other bear market low, it took a while, right? Over here, right? This took a while to play out. 5-wave up, 3-wave down. I mean, if we were 2 months at the lows and this almost took 2 months, then we could, if we assume that that was going to play out again, from this low to here was 47 days. I mean, this could take another 47 days, putting us at pullback around early October. Okay, again, would look like an inverse head and shoulders. So, all right, where can it pull back down to? Elliott wave says that these pullbacks, the ABC correction down. Okay, this is the pullback area that I'm watching for. This pullback area here from swing low to swing high, right? From the start of the impulse to the end, full 5 waves. You take a fib and you pull it from low to high. And then the 0.5 fib is very, very commonplace at the very least. This is the most bullish one. Another common area is the 618, right? In this case, we had a 21% pullback from the prior high, or the prior macro high. And then if it went to the 618, it'd be 26% down. This is why buying into strength isn't always the best idea when you can get, something cheaper, and if you're patient, to wait for the charts. So in this case, we're looking at same thing, same measurement. from the start of the impulsive wave to where it's likely to top out in wave 5, which would be at the prior high, if we're assuming it's going to do what it did before. And the 0.5 fib takes us down all the way to 69. Okay, so that's quite the distance, right? If we measure from this top area here all the way down to 0.5, that's 16% down. If it makes it to the 618, which is another common area to see a retracement in an ABC correction, that would be an almost 20% move down, right? It could almost retrace this whole impulse and then still be bullish, right? Still go and break out, right? So yeah, guys, if you find this helpful, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.